The story begins in a castle, as we see a fight between knights. But a man named Arnold arrives, easily cutting down anyone in his path. He makes his way inside, and we see another group of knights who are holding the line while the crown prince escapes. We meet one of the knights named Riche, and learn that the man is the emperor of the Gohain Empire. The knights try attacking him together, but he easily dodges and takes them out. Riche rushes at him, but her sword ends up being destroyed, and she's about to be stabbed, but her friend pushes her away, and he ends up dying instead. She swings with her broken sword, but she ends up getting stabbed, promising that things will be different next time. We suddenly see a clock rewinding, and she returns to the past, as the crown prince Detrick humiliates her and breaks off their engagement, but to his surprise, she calmly accepts it and excuses herself. It turns out she already knows what will happen, because it's her 7th time being brought back. During her first life, she's surprised when Detrick breaks off their engagement, and accuses her of numerous crimes, so she goes home, where she discovers that even her family has abandoned her, despite the charges being false. She begins to wander with nowhere to go, and nothing more than the clothes on her body. She encounters a group of merchants, and they see her going through a bad time, so the merchant leader named Tully offers to take her to the neighboring country. He notices her silk clothes, and he can tell she's part of the nobility, so they pity her, but she suddenly offers to sell her ring, which surprises everyone. Tully explains that they seek things that move them and sell to those who can appreciate it. Because when a seller and a buyer love the wares, that's when a profit is made. With this new opportunity in Riche's life, Tully invites her to join them and learn about the business. She's free from the engagement to Prince Detrick, and finally has the chance to do what she wishes, so Riche joins the Arya Trading Company. She gradually learns to negotiate, and later became independent, traveling the world, and dreaming of visiting all countries, but when there was only one country left to visit, she got caught up in a war, and died as a result. She returns to the moment that Detrick breaks off their engagement, and she's completely confused, realizing that she has returned to the past. She accepts his decision, and sees the situation as a second chance, so she takes valuable objects with her, planning to grow even faster in trade. She goes to meet the caravan, but unfortunately, she gets there too late, and they have already passed. She looks at the things she took, and finds an old book of medicinal herbs from her grandmother, so she decides to sell everything and cross the sea to study medicine. With the knowledge of her first life about where medicinal plants grow, and where epidemics would occur, she became a prominent figure, to the point of saving a prince from the north, but just like in her first life, she ended up in a war and died. In her third life, she dedicates herself to focusing on research in a specialized branch, based on her previous life's knowledge, so she approaches a scholar she has met before, Dr. Michael Evan, and they have a discussion about science. After they part ways, Riche continues her research independently to refine her theory, but once more, she dies because of the war. For her fourth life, we see that she acted as a servant in a duke's house, and during her sixth life, she pretended to be a man and became a knight. She enjoyed all of her past lives, but she notes that she always died after 5 years for the same reason, so in her seventh life, she aims to relax more and live a longer life. At this point, Riche decides to be a bit faster, so instead of leaving the palace through the front door, she chooses a different route. She turns to go down a hallway, when she bumps into a man, and we see that it's Arnold. Riche is startled, calling him Emperor Arnold, but he's suspicious of how she knows his name, since it's his first time in the country and he doesn't remember meeting her. Riche introduces herself, and Arnold corrects her, saying he's just a prince, because his father is still alive. Riche becomes nervous, and apologizes for her discourtesy, explaining that she has just broken off her engagement, so she's in a hurry. He watches her as she jumps from the balcony, and he finds her amusing, asking his assistant Oliver to prepare his horse. Meanwhile, Riche walks back home, as she complains about her low stamina, realizing that she needs to train her body. She sees a crowd gathering at her house, and Detrick makes a scene, saying she must be incredibly sad, but she puts him in his place, saying she's happy that they're no longer engaged, because she knows that she has better options to be happy in her life. The crowd starts to wonder if she was the one who ended the engagement, because Detrick appears to be upset. He yells at them after hearing the gossip, but she explains that he should treat his people with respect, because the royalty's duty is to protect them. He demands that she apologizes, but she refuses, as Riche's parents watch the scene confused, and a lady named Marie approaches her, asking her to stop hurting him. He accuses her of bullying Marie, but she says she wants to leave and never show up again, because she doesn't need him, causing him to become surprised. She turns to Marie, knowing she wants to marry him to help her family, so she made up the accusations against Riche, but she doesn't blame Marie, encouraging her to find her own path. Riche prepares to leave, but a guard asks her to wait, and as he approaches her, she senses danger, so she instinctively takes the guard's sword to defend herself, blocking Arnold's sword. He mentions that he has already suspected that she's a sword master, asking her where she learned her skills. She tells him that it's a secret, saying it's nothing worthy of his praise, because she knows that he held back when he attacked. Detrick thinks about intervening, but Riche warns everyone not to be violent with the Prince of Gohain, causing them to become surprised, because they know that he has a fearsome reputation as a warrior. Riche turns to Arnold, wondering what he's doing there, as she realizes that she's facing the man who killed her, knowing he's responsible for starting the war, but he kneels before her, asking her to become his wife. She's surprised to hear this, wondering if he's serious, and when he confirms that he is, everyone is shocked. She refuses the proposal, but Arnold seems amused by the situation, and she still can't believe it, thinking it's absurd that the man who killed her is asking for her hand in marriage. At that moment, the king suddenly arrives, and Detrick runs to his father, who suddenly throws his face to the ground. He apologizes to Arnold for the rudeness of his son, and to Riche for the breaking off of the engagement. He hears the marriage proposal, asking her to accept it to calm the situation. Arnold explains that something so little wouldn't harm the relationship between their nations, but asks to speak with her alone, telling her that if she refuses, he will make his next move. They sit down to talk, and Riche wants to know what he's plotting, but Arnold reveals that he simply fell in love, so he reminds her that with the prince breaking off the engagement, she's currently unprotected. Riche admits that she would have accepted without hesitation if this were her first life, but now she knows that life offers infinite opportunities. She also knows that he will start a war when he becomes emperor, so eventually, she will die again. Riche considers this as a chance to discover the reasons behind everything, so she agrees to be his wife, but mentions that she has a few requests. He must agree to buy everything necessary for the wedding, from a merchant trading company of her choice, and receive guests from other countries. She also wants to live far from the emperor, and mainly do nothing in the castle, so she can have a peaceful and lazy life, telling him that he can't touch her either. He accepts her requests, and they begin their journey to the imperial capital. Along the way, Riche suddenly wakes up, drawing her sword, and asking Arnold what he wants, so he explains that he just wants to retrieve what she took. She notices that she's holding his sword, realizing that she took the sword that killed her, while he seems impressed by her ability to detect him while sleeping, thinking she must have been training hard to achieve that level of perception. She discovers that he has already scheduled a meeting with the merchant she chose, the Arya Trading Company from her first life, and she plans to establish relations with them as quickly as possible, but they are suddenly attacked by a group of bandits, so Arnold decides to join the fight, and he protects Riche by locking her inside. She doesn't understand why he needs to fight, and uses a hairpin to unlock the door. She manages to escape, and watches him as he deals with the bandits. He seems disappointed, because they didn't kill his boredom, and she's surprised to see that he spared their lives. We learn that the bandits used swords poison with anesthetics, leaving several guards paralyzed. They can't continue like this, so they decide to go back and look for an antidote in a nearby village, but Riche offers to prepare the antidote, surprising everyone, and she uses the plants to create it, offering it to the guards, but notices the lack of trust on their faces, so she cuts herself, and applies the antidote to the wound, proving that it works. They use it to cure the guards, as Oliver tells him that he was reckless for choosing to fight personally, saying he even involved Riche in it. Oliver sees Riche collecting flowers, and he mentions that he got her involved, but Arnold explains that he tried to keep her out of it. He joins her, asking her how she managed to get out of the carriage, but she says it's a secret. We learn that when Riche worked as a servant, her master used to lock herself in her room, so Riche learned to pick locks. Arnold finds her intriguing, wondering how she will surprise him next time, and he explains that his kingdom is a meritocracy, but many are still judged by their origins. Arnold tells her the story of his knights, revealing that he knows their backgrounds, because he chose them personally, so he thanks Riche for saving them. She seems confused, because she thought he's evil, so she becomes curious, wondering why the knights were suspicious of her. Arnold explains how they know that her engagement has been broken, so they thought he was going to marry a villain. He reveals that he told his father that she's from a noble family, and was betrothed to the prince, but he stole her because he likes her. He adds that his bride needs to be from the royal family of another country, because his family needs someone who can act as a hostage. She's excited by the idea of being stolen and seen as a hostage, because she won't have to attend official events, so she can just stay in his palace and rest. They arrive at the imperial capital, the only country she wasn't able to visit, and we learn that the capital is a major influence in the world, because it's rich in natural resources. At the castle, Riche discovers that the imperial villa isn't ready, so she will have to sleep in a guest room, and Arnold warns her that it's in a terrible state, but she mentions that she can clean the place on her own, knowing she's a hostage. We see the place covered in dust, but Riche quickly makes the place shine, thanks to her experience as a servant. She recalls that Arnold will kill the emperor in a few years, and this will mark the beginning of the war, so she decides to stay away from his father. She goes out to get water, and she sees the maids humiliating a servant named Elsie. Riche approaches her, but they mistake her for a maid, and they try to intimidate her, but she ignores them, helping Elsie get back up, and telling a maid named Diana not to wash the curtains because it's going to rain, but Diana doesn't believe, mocking her as she leaves. Elsie thanks Riche for protecting her, and Riche advises her to brush her clothes. She wonders who Riche might be, but she changes the subject and decides to help her with the laundry. The day passes, and it rains as Riche predicted. Later on, Riche remembers her dream of visiting all countries. She never achieved this in her previous lives, but now she's in the country she had never reached. Riche suddenly senses Arnold's presence, and asks him to come out of the shadows. He continues to be impressed by her, and he joins her at the terrace, telling her about the establishments in the city. She's excited to learn about them, but he doesn't understand why she's moved by something so simple, so she confesses that she always wanted to visit the place. Arnold thinks that her knowledge and physical abilities are unusual, because she's from a noble family, so she doesn't need her skills. Riche remembers when she was little, and her mother would suppress each aspiration she had, explaining that her only goal was to marry someone from royalty and have a child, so Riche explains that with a new opportunity, she will protect everything she learned, even if others find them unnecessary, because she will decide her future on her own. Arnold suddenly touches her cheek, promising to always support her, because he's in love with her, but she thinks he's lying. As he's about to leave, he promises to give her what she wants since he broke his promise of not touching her, and she's taken aback, wondering what he was thinking. But that's where this video ends. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to do a part 2, and if you enjoyed watching this video, consider liking and subscribing for more like it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.